The Neighbourhood Watch. I moved into Cedar Hollow 3 weeks ago. It's a quiet suburban neighborhood. Nice houses, big trees, the kind of place where everyone waves at each other. On my second day, an elderly woman named Margaret came to my door with a casserole and a binder. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said, smiling. "I'm with the Cedar Hollow Neighbourhood Watch. This is your orientation packet." The binder was thick, maybe 80 pages. It had a laminated cover with the words, "Cedar Hollow, a safe community," printed in green text. "Just a few things to be aware of," Margaret said. "We have a very active watch program. Read through it when you get a chance. Most of it is common sense, but there are some specifics." I thanked her and took the binder inside. The casserole was excellent. The binder, I figured I'd flip through later. That night, I noticed the porch lights. Every house on my street had a porch light on. Same brightness, same color temperature. They came on at exactly 7:30 p.m. I know because I was watching from my kitchen window when it happened. All of them, simultaneously, like someone had flipped a master switch. My porch light wasn't on. I'd never turned it on. I didn't think much of it. I went to bed. The next morning, there was a slip of paper in my mailbox. Not an envelope, just a slip. Friendly reminder, Cedar Hollow residents observe a 7:30 p.m. porch light protocol for community safety. Please ensure your porch light is operational and on by 7:30 p.m. nightly. Thank you for being a good neighbor. It was unsigned. No name, no phone number, just the message. I opened the binder Margaret had given me. Sure enough, on page 12, there was a section on porch lights. They came on at 7:30 p.m. They went off at 6 a.m. The bulb wattage was specified. The color temperature was specified. 2,700 Kelvin, warm white. Anything else was non-compliant. That seemed fine. A little intense, but fine. I bought the right bulb that afternoon and started using my porch light. But then I started noticing other things. The trash bins. Everyone put them out at the exact same time on Sunday night. Not just within a window, the same time. I checked one Sunday, 8:47 p.m. Within a 5-minute span, every house on the street wheeled their bin to the curb. The lawns. Mowed on Saturdays. Always Saturdays. Always between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. The buzz of mowers was synchronized across the entire neighborhood. The cars. Parked in driveways, not on the street. Always. I checked the binder. All of it was in there. Trash protocols, lawn protocols, vehicle protocols. The binder had specifications for everything, from holiday decoration timelines to acceptable mailbox heights to the exact dimensions of permitted for sale signs. But the binder had something else too, something I hadn't noticed before. There was a section called Observation Schedule. It listed times when neighbors would naturally observe specific houses. My house was listed. According to the schedule, I would be naturally observed at 6:15 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 5:45 p.m., and 9 p.m. daily. That was unsettling, but I told myself it was probably just a list of when people were typically out walking, not literal surveillance. I tested it. At 6:15 a.m. the next morning, I looked out my front window. 3 of my neighbors were standing on the sidewalk in front of my house. Just standing there, not talking to each other, not facing each other, just looking at my house. They held coffee cups, like they just stepped out for some morning air. But all 3 of them were looking directly at my front door. When they saw me in the window, they all smiled and waved. Then they walked back to their houses. I wanted to leave. The binder had a section on that too. Resident Departure Protocols. It said, Cedar Hollow residents are members of a tightly knit community. When a resident chooses to leave, the Neighborhood Watch coordinates a transition period to ensure new residents understand and respect community standards. This transition typically lasts 6 months to 1 year, during which the departing resident must remain available for consultations with the incoming family. 6 months to a year.
to leave. I called my realtor, asked about breaking the lease. He laughed. "There's no lease," he said. "You bought the house." "I rented." "You bought," he said. "Cedar Hollow doesn't have rentals. It's all owner-occupied." That was on the paperwork. I dug through my paperwork. He was right. I'd signed a purchase agreement, not a lease. I remembered now. The realtor had mentioned that Cedar Hollow had specific community standards and that I'd be expected to comply. I'd been so focused on the price, which was incredibly low for the area, that I'd just nodded along and signed. The price was low. I should have asked why. I went to talk to Margaret. She lived 3 houses down.
She invited me in like we were old friends. Her house was identical to mine in layout, but her decorations were different. There were photographs on every wall, family photos, hundreds of them. But all the people in the photos looked similar. Same posture, same smile, the same vacant pleasantness. "How can I help, dear?" she asked. "I want to leave Cedar Hollow," I said. Her smile didn't change. "Of course you do. Most new residents feel that way at first. The transition period is challenging. I want to sell my house, now." "That's not how it works, dear. The Neighbourhood Watch handles all sales. We need to find appropriate buyers, people who will fit the community." "How long does that take?" "Well, our last successful transition was in 1998. I felt cold. "What does that mean? You haven't had anyone leave since 1998? "Oh, people leave sometimes," Margaret said, still smiling, "but not often. Most residents find that once they settle into our routines, they don't want to leave. The community provides such a sense of belonging." She showed me a photograph on her wall. It was of a younger Margaret, standing with a group of neighbors. They were all smiling. They all looked vacantly happy. "Some of these neighbors have been here over 40 years, she said. "Imagine, 40 years of perfect neighborhood harmony. We're very proud of what we've built here." "And the people who tried to leave? The ones since 1998? Her smile dimmed slightly. "Some people just aren't ready for community life," she said. "It's sad. They become very unwell. The stress of resisting the routines, you see. It's much easier to just participate." That night, I started reading the binder more carefully. Every section, every line. In the back, there was a section I hadn't seen before. It was titled Wellness Concerns. It described what would happen if a resident failed to thrive in Cedar Hollow. Residents who consistently violate community protocols may exhibit signs of poor adjustment. The Neighbourhood Watch is committed to supporting these residents through enhanced engagement. Initial interventions include increased neighbor visits, casserole deliveries, and extended porch conversations. If poor adjustment continues, the Watch will coordinate with local services to ensure resident wellness. Local services wasn't defined. I kept reading. There was a list of names at the very end. Honored former residents. It went back decades. The most recent name was from 2011. The one before that was from 2008. And all the way back to the 1970s. The names were of people who had transitioned out of Cedar Hollow due to wellness concerns. Some had moved to long-term care facilities. Some had passed away peacefully at home. A few had simply moved on. I counted them. 47 names, spanning 50 years. That's an unusually high mortality rate for a neighborhood of 40 houses. I started looking at the surrounding properties more carefully. From my upstairs window, I could see most of the neighborhood. Every single house had identical landscaping, identical mailbox placement, identical curtains in the front windows. Even the cars in the driveways were similar. Mid-sized sedans, mostly silver or gray. I thought about Margaret's photos. All those neighbors with the same smile, the same posture, the the same pleasantness. I thought about the synchronized routines, the trash bins, the lawnmowers, the porch lights. I thought about how the binder had specifications for everything, how the Neighbourhood Watch coordinated transitions, how they naturally observed my house 4 times a day. And I thought about how I'd been having strange dreams since I moved in. Dreams about being on a sidewalk at 6:15 a.m., holding a coffee cup, looking at someone's front door, just standing there, just observing. I'd had that dream 3 times this week. Last night, I sleepwalked. I woke up at 6:17 a.m., standing in my front yard. I was holding an empty coffee mug. I don't drink coffee. I'm typing this from my kitchen. It's 7:25 p.m. In 5 minutes, I'll need to turn on my porch light. I won't forget. I never forget anymore. The protocols are becoming automatic. I had a thought today when I was mowing my lawn. I was mowing it on Saturday at 9:30 a.m., like I'm supposed to. And I thought, this isn't bad. The neighborhood is so peaceful. Everyone takes care of their property. Everyone follows the rules. There's something comforting about it. Something safe. That thought scared me at first, but then it didn't. I'm not afraid anymore. I had Margaret over for dinner last night. She brought a casserole. We talked about the new family that's moving in next month. She asked if I'd be willing to deliver their orientation packet. I said yes. Of course I said yes. She told me the new family doesn't know yet. They got a great deal on the house. The wife is excited about the schools. The husband works from home. They have 1 child, a quiet girl who likes to read. They don't know about the binder. They don't know about the porch lights. They don't know about the observation schedule. But they will, after I deliver the orientation packet. And in a few months, they'll be standing on a sidewalk at 6:15 a.m., holding a coffee cup, naturally observing the next new family's house, just like I do now. It's 7:30 p.m. I'm turning on my porch light. So is everyone else. The neighborhood is glowing now. All of us. Synchronized. Peaceful. Safe. I haven't had a thought of leaving in 2 weeks. I don't know if that's because I've adjusted, or because the routines have adjusted me. But I know one thing. The new family is going to love it here. Eventually.